Okay, so again here I'm going to do a little kind of speed review that of course you can, pause and go back and replay. So, do whatever you have to if I'm kind of cruising along at a good pace, again, stop, rewatch, whatever it is, on these highlights so that you can, hear me explaining stuff and you can hear what it sounds like, but I can kind of move through it at a decent kind of pace. Okay, so just a little disclaimer, I guess, for all these upcoming videos. I'm just going to cruise through and, you can just modulate that play pause. You can actually change playback speed. You can reduce speed or increase it too in the settings on YouTube. So you've got lots of options if you want to listen to this at different speeds, all that stuff. Okay. So this is corresponding to week 3, which is talking about grammatical gender and nouns, and particularly noun inflections. Okay. This is talking about plurals, locatives, diminutives. Okay. So we'll get into those. So let's do it. I'll share my screen and we'll go for it here. Okay. So I guess everything's in different. There we go. All right. So looking at this, okay, these are our actual class notes from week 3. So what's nice is you'll get to actually I'm gonna try and hide that bar, give us a little bit more room. Okay. So yeah, these are our actual class notes from week 3. So you'll be able to follow along with these really well, which is nice. So grammatical gender, okay, a way of sorting or classifying nouns based on some sort of factor, whatever that language has decided. It's called grammatical gender because most often it has to do with like a masculine, feminine, but other global languages have done other things besides that too, and Ojibwe is one of them. So it's a way of classifying nouns, but it needs to interact with some other aspect of the language. The example I gave here was in French, okay? La grande lune, the big moon, le grand soleil. So lune is feminine. It's a like female. So it's la grande lune, whereas soleil is masculin. It's masculine. It's male. So it's le grand soleil. So this is what I mean by interacting with some other aspect of the language, right? You have to choose between la or le, and you have to know that with like an adjective or adverb, sorry, do I add an E or do I not add an E, right? Those are the gender of that noun setting the standard for basically everything else that happens around it. Okay, so interacting with another aspect of the language. And Ojibwe is the same kind of thing. Okay, in Ojibwe, we don't use um, like male female gender, we use animacy. Okay, so there's certain things that are always animate, people, animals, trees and shrubs, animate all the time. Okay, you can just bank on those. But then, some clothing items are animate, some body parts, some food, and then some just random objects that might seem surprising to you actually end up being animate. So, and then inanimate's basically everything else. And what I had coached you to do in class was learn the animate ones, learn all of the weird animate um, exceptions, and then just assume that the rest are inanimate and slowly kind of build your learning like that. And it goes a lot faster than learning each and every one on a case by case basis. So, what that leads us to is wanting to talk about noun inflections. Again, nouns are people, places, things. In Ojibwe, it gets a little kind of muddier than that, but for the most part, yeah, people, places, things. Okay. And noun inflections are basically adding some sort of affix, adding a sound. When you're writing it, of course, you have to represent that with writing, but you're adding a sound to a noun to change it or alter its information. Okay. And there's 3 types of inflections. We have prefixes that go at the start of a word, suffixes that go at the end of a word, and circumfixes that go both at the front and end. And Ojibwe uses tons of those. Okay, very, very popular thing in Ojibwe. Okay, moving on to noun plurals. Okay, Plurals are, of course, more than one of something. Okay, so you've got one, it's singular, two or more, and it's plural. Okay, so looking at these, okay, this is the first thing in the language that we're going to bump into where the animacy or the gender of a noun, whether it's animate or inanimate, grammatically, it matters, okay, because noun plurals are dependent on the animacy. So animate noun plurals end in a G. No matter what, the last letter in a noun, animate noun plural will be a G. That's the last letter, no matter what. Okay. There are six ways, okay, six different ways to pluralize an animate noun. Okay. These vary slightly community to community. You might see like, oh, like we use that letter instead of this one. You might see slight variations, but it's the same patterns and they connect the same way. So really, there are six ways to do this, okay, with a slight variance. So we have ug. Okay, you can see ug would go at the end of the noun. So again, that means that plurals are suffixes if they go at the end, right? So we're adding a plural suffix. And ug is going to go after n's, sh's, or d's, okay? And the couple examples I gave, pwagan becomes pwaganug, pwaganug are pipes, and that should have an S on it, pipes. And then wagush becomes wagushug, foxes. Waganuk, wagushug, pipes, foxes. Okay, so the ug is coming after n's and sh's, d's, and a couple other spots. Sometimes after like an S, you'll see it. S will get ug after it too. Um, then we look at og endings. Okay, the og plural. This comes after G's and K's basically. Okay, there's again always a couple little random exceptions, but really G's and K's. So mitig ends in a G. Mitigog, trees. Mitig, mitigog, tree, trees. And same with a kick ending in a K. A kick, a kickog. That becomes buckets or kettles. A kick, kickog, kettle, kettles. And then there's a couple random weirdos like Mose becomes Mozog. That's like mooses. And then another one that behaves like that is rabbits. Okay. Wobbles, wobbles, oak. Wobbles, wobbles, oak. Rabbit, rabbits. Okay. So mitigog, trees, kickog, buckets, mozog, mooses. Okay. I know that's not how we say that in English, but I need to kind of show it somehow. Then we have wug. Okay. Wug coming after the short I, the long E, or G's and K's. Again, that shares with og. So we've got nini, a man, becoming ninuag, men. Que, ending in a long E, becoming quewag, women. Then we have a mick, becoming a mickwug, beavers. Again, some of these kind of can go either way. A mickwug, a mickog, it could be og or wug, and you might see people who choose one over the other. Doesn't matter because they're almost the same. Og and wug overlap, okay? So Ninuwag, men, Kwewag, women, Amikwag, beavers. Let's keep going. We've got yug as a plural suffix, okay? Yug only comes, you might see this in your community as well as yik. Yik or yug is the same one, okay? So don't worry about that. Yug, yik. It's used in the same place. It's the same pattern, okay? And it comes after the NH, okay? It comes after the NH final. And the trick that I showed you guys is like you literally take an H, like what an H actually lowercase h looks like. If you flip a lowercase h upside down, it literally looks like a Y, right? So you take your H, flip it into a Y, you get, Gigon becomes Gigon or Benashin becomes Benashin. So you flip the H into a Y and you get Gigon Benashin and so on and so forth. Okay, that's the only place you use yug after the NH. And then finally, we've got these last two. So we've got eek comes after ZHs. B's and P's, and I's. Okay. Zhigogwinch is an onion. Zhigogwinjig, onions. Zhigogwinjig. Then we have a sub, which is a net. Sub, sabig, net, nets. Sabig, nets. And then we have wabje shi, becoming wabje shig, where we've taken the short I and lengthened it, right? Wabje shi, wabje shig, adding that ig. Shigagwanjig, sabig, wabje shig. All right, IIG. Then finally, we have just the G ending where you only add a G, and that comes after long vowels. Okay, so go coal ends in a long O. We just put a G on it. Go coke. Beige or beige ends in a long I. So of course we just put an I at the end or a G at the end. Beige. Then you have a skinwe, ends in a long E. Again, this is the overlap. You know, a long E could get wug. So is it skinwewuk or skinweg? Skinwewuk, skinweg. You have to make a decision, and it is skinweg. So that's it. Okay. Or skinweg, young men or kind of teen boys. And then we could look at memengwa, ends in the aw. So then you just add a G to the end. And that's that. Okay. For butterflies. Gogokog, Bejagongjig, or Skinweg, Memengwak. Now, for the inanimate noun plurals, it's the same thing, except they end in an N. That's the difference between animate, inanimate. Does the plural end in G or end in N? Okay, so it ends in an N. All right, so it's the same six endings that follow the same six patterns. They just end in an N. So un goes after like N's, SH's, D's. So you get wasechiganan, windows, wasechiganan, Gmonishan, those darn canoes, Gmonishan, and mushkimudan, bags. Okay, I'm going to try and move through these quickly. One comes after short I's, can go after E's, and, maybe a G or a K. But you often see it in inanimate nouns after short I's, like mushkike one, medicines, mushkike. Then we have een coming after ZH's, B's and P's, short I's being lengthened, okay? Ninwangine, milkweeds, ninwangine. Paddles, abween. You take the short I and lengthen it. Abwi, abween, abwi, abween. And then we have Naguayab becomes Naguayabine. Rainbows, Naguayabine. Again, ends in a B or a P. Naguayabine, Naguayabine. Then we have own. All right, coming after G's and K's. Okay, Aukazilgamig, Aukazilgamig, ending in a G or a K, becoming Aukazilgamigon, hospitals, Aukazilgamigon. And then we have Bikwak, which is an arrow, Bikwakon, arrows. That's that, okay? Aukazilgamigon, Bikwakon. On to our last two. Yun, same thing, comes after an NH ending, okay? You take the H, you flip it upside down, it becomes a Y, okay? Majigodin is a dress. Majigodin yun. Again, it stays nasal. Majigodin yun. Dresses, okay? That should say dresses. Majigodin yun. Majigodin yun. And then finally, the N, just adding an N, well, it comes after long vowels, just like just adding a G did, right? So one example here should suffice. Bimide, bimiden, bimide, bimiden. Oil or oils, grease or greases, right? Bimide, bimiden, bimiden, oils. Okay, moving along, diminutives. Diminutive suffixes make something physically smaller. Okay, it makes something physically smaller, or it can make it younger if it makes sense logically. Okay, so diminutives are not gender specific. All right, so it does not matter if it's an animate or inanimate noun. Does not matter. Okay, it does not matter if it's animate or inanimate. The diminutives just connect based on whatever looks good, whatever sounds good. So, and diminutives are connected with long vowels only, giving us os, is, os, s. So the ns is really the diminutive. The long vowel is only there to connect it. It's just like super glue that connects it to the noun, and you just pick the right glue for the right job. Just like if you're gluing wood, you use wood glue. If you're gluing something to metal, you got to use like a JB Weld like metal adhesive. You have to pick the right glue for the right medium. And it's the same with language. You have to pick the right suffix for the right word, okay? And the patterns persist that we saw in the plurals, okay? Mitig ends in a G or a K. Well, you can bet it's going to become mitigons, which is then a sapling. Mitig, mitigons. Tree, sapling. Makes it smaller or younger. Mitigwabimish. Mitigwabimish is a mulberry tree. Well, it ends in a ZH. ZHs get long eyes after them, right? So mitigwabimijins. Mitigwabimijins is the diminutive, okay? Because again, ZHs get eyes. So mitigwabimish, mitigwabimijins. Mulberry, mulberry sapling. Odena is a town. Odenas is a little town or a village or a hamlet or whatever. Okay. You take the short A that's already there and you can lengthen it. Odenas. Okay. The path of least resistance. Odena, odenas. Then we look at something like this. Mazana test jigun, a TV. Mazana test jiganas, right? Like, so you'll see ans show up after things that end in N or SHs, often after Ds, or a few other things, right? Again, anywhere you're going to probably use un or ug as the plural. You're going to use ans as the diminutive, more or less. But then there's another thing, and we talked about this. The gun ending, or igun especially, we do a weird thing where the we build the diminutive straight into it. My gun, a wolf, becomes my gans. We put the a in there, we like wedge it in and then put the S at the end. Maingan, Maingans, wolf, wolf pup. And another example, there were a gun, there were a guns, a drum or a little drum. There were a gun, there were a guns. Again, we built the diminutive right into the gun ending. Okay. And then you've got things like, well, swan ends in a long vowel. So you just put a G on the end to pluralize it, wabzig. So then just put an NS on the end to make a diminutive. See how the pattern kind of persists, right? Wabzi, wabzis, a swan, a signet. Wabzi, wabzis. Then we have gamit, which is a lake. Gamit ends in a short I. Again, the path of least resistance is to just say, well, let's just take that I and build off of it, and it works really well. Gamit, gamis. Gamit, gamis. We lengthen the I. Gamis, gamis. Moving on to locatives, the last thing here. Locative suffixes, they turn a noun into a place. It turns like a what into a where. Okay, it makes it a location. It doesn't tell you which location it is, but it just tells you it's a place. And it appears as an ng at the end of the noun. Okay, so it's a suffix. It goes at the end and it looks like an ng. But again, you have to connect it in a way that makes sense. So we get ing, ing, ong, ong, or just an ng. Like there's different ways to connect those, again, based on what the word looks like. So, and just in stars here, it produces English prepositions, okay? At the, to the, in the, from the, beside the, past the thing, right? Whatever it is, it makes that preposition, right? Like oh, past the last house on the left, inside the cupboard, outside of the school, like whatever, it makes those prepositions. Okay. So let's look at a few of these. We looked at odena again, just to show that pattern persisting. Odena becomes ode nong. Again, lengthen the ang. Odena, Odenong, the town, and then like, in town. Adawelgamik, Adawelgamik, the store. Adawelgamigong, Adawelgamigong, at the store. Adawelgamigong, at the store, or in the store, or to the store, whatever, it doesn't matter. Then we have Zibe, the river, becoming Zbeing. We lengthen the I and G. Okay, Zibe, Zbeing, Zibe, Zbeing. Then we have Minis, the island. Minising, at the island. Minis, Minising. Minis, Minising. Minising. Okay. And then we started to talk about the last thing I'll say is where we ended class was just saying like the little nugget of information of look at reserves. Most reserves end in an NG. And we said like Minjikening, Chimnasing, Wasoksing, Wikwemikong, Atikmegsheng, Ondegomnikaning, Shishigwaning, Neyaashiinigamiing, Soggying, right? Like you just take your pick. There's a 99% chance that the reserve ends in an NG. Bukedwanong, like just you can go on and on. It's not an accident. What that is the locative suffix because reserves are places, right? It's at the whatever, it's at this place. So because it's at a certain place, it's a location. They end in locatives almost always. Okay, so it's kind of a cool thing that you can think about. And you can look on the map too, and you'll see that there are rivers, there are lakes, there are towns or counties or like whole regions that end in locatives, like Temiskaming, Ontario, Temiskaming. Well, it ends in an NG, of course, right? It's a locative. So, you can peruse that. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is this is something you can kind of do um, on your own time or as kind of not as homework, but like as an exercise, is you can go into the People's Dictionary, okay, and you can look for plurals, locatives, diminutives in the dictionary. Okay. I still had bird open from the last video I just put together for you guys. But while I'm on it, I can, zoom in here again on the People's Dictionary. I'm in, the Ojibwe People's Dictionary. Bird is just the word I was on. And I can zoom in here on what I call the nerd strip. Okay. It's where the nerds go to find information. Okay. Benashi, singular. Benashiyuk. Oh, I wonder what that is. Plural. And then we have Benashians. You'll also see Benashins. Okay, don't worry about that. That's just a difference in preference there. Benashins, Benashians. It can go one way or the other. Diminutive. Well, there it is. Okay. Benashi, Benashiyuk, Benashians. Singular, plural, diminutive. The dictionary doesn't always give you locative, diminutive, plural, but it'll often give you like two of the three, or sometimes all three, which is killer. Okay. So then you can go look for other things. Like if I want to look for search in English and I'll look for, a store, I want to make sure that I find the store, inanimate noun. I can check its animacy right here. A da whelgamig, inanimate noun, a store, shop, or trading post. Click on it. And then, I could listen to it. Click Dawilgamig, Dawilgamig. Or then I can go down to the nerd strip. A Dawilgamig, singular. Okay, singular. A Dawilgamigon, plural. A Dawilgamigons, Diminutive, right? There's the ons ending, diminutive. Or this one gives us all of them. A da, whale, gummig, gong, locative. So peruse around the dictionary. Look up nouns. Is the noun animate or inanimate? Listen to it. Say the word. And then go up and find its plural, its diminutive, and its locative in the dictionary. Okay, that's where it is in the page, right? You can see it right here. All right, Emil, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. And we'll see you next week for week 4.